When I let go of seeking the outer, I moved into my own inner.
Hi beautiful souls, welcome to the 5D Foundations Gateway. I'm Autumn Moo and I'm honoured to have you here. Let's just start by going into coherence in a very simple way, which is the topic of Module 1. It really is a keyhole to everything. We're going to go much deeper soon, but why not just use it as a tool for us to be able to drop in now. You may want to close your eyes if you like and become present. We're here now, letting go of the past, thinking of the future, and even bypassing that mind, feeling the breath taking us into our heart, where there's a soft, warm feeling. And when we start to just notice where our body is in space and time, notice where your feet are, where your hands are, and just feel a warmth in your body. We'll come back to that and we'll go deeper with coherence as an activity. But first I'd like to just introduce myself a little bit more so you know who I am, why I'm doing this work. I was born in Aotearoa, New Zealand, raised by a humble Māori family and a very, very strong Māori ancient culture. And so I had the chance to grow up in this rural little town with such protocols, we call it tikanga, which get us to really think about the way in which we interact with the world. And it's all from within. We call it mana. How can I make sure that I care for land and people? Because that is where my mana, my prestige, my power, my honor comes from. And for our tribe, how can we behave? And what can we do for the earth and for people so that our tribe has prestige, honor, power? And so having that as a gauge for how I was to grow up was very much the basis for what inspired me to get into human potential. And I came to Australia when I was 19, and with curiosity and I feel a lot of courage from, you probably know the Māori culture, there is a lot of courage, and it's probably because of the inner gauge that we have, which is, hey, I'm going to do what I feel is right rather than trusting and relying on the external. In fact, we're a little bit rebellious about the external because we had experienced colonization, and I had been growing up with very radical aunties and uncles, including my mother, who were making changes for the better to restore a culture that was nearly lost in a couple of generations. And as you can probably see now with media, that the Māori culture is thriving. My mum was beaten if she spoke the language, but now something that many, many people are speaking because they got the chance through people like her as a teacher to be able to get the te reo or the language back. My father's line is Celtic, and I feel like I love that as well. I feel a very strong resonance to the ancient Celts and their heroism and especially the Scottish, so he's Scottish, the background of challenging things as well. But I feel when people really get to experience these cultures, they're not just trying to fight something out there, they're actually wanting to preserve something that will be for the best for future generations, to be able to honor our ancestors. We feel them really close. Honor our ancestors who lay the way for us, and so we want to honor the generations before and honor the generations after. So often having that connection, even if, for example, you gained it through meeting people and spending time in ancient cultures, there is a beautiful sense of how we can have a strong inner gauge and also a strong way to be able to courageously but lovingly support beautiful community and good nature initiatives. So that foundation pretty much created the courage, I think, and also the curiosity. What makes things tick? Why is it that things are great some places and things aren't? What's causing social and economic problems? Why are families breaking down? All of these questions I had as a young girl growing up and seeing some of the effects of the culture being lost, people like my grandparents becoming alcoholics, You know, I grew up with this slight change, and I wanted to look at how is it that we can change things for the better. And I do think that we are in a critical time right now. We really, really need some solutions to be able to create change, and it's not going to come from waiting for external to do it. It comes from within. And for many years now, through being passionate about human potential in my field of work and also in my life, which has led to spirituality, but it's very much interested in quantum science and how can these things come together and how can we merge it all to make it practical, so we don't have to say, hey, there's only one way to go, you have to follow this guru or you have to follow that. No, we can actually all come from different backgrounds and yet have this common approach to be able to bring about change in the world for ourselves, to give us well-being and our family well-being, and then also to do some really cool things at work. So my human potential curiosity led me into working in learning and development and cultural change, we call it. So people and culture, it's where I've worked for large organizations for over 20 years, where we're looking at ways that people can, there's an ulterior motive, ways that people can be more productive so that profits can be made by organizations. But in turn, what it makes is people happier or more aligned to what they're meant to be doing and their skill sets and their passions and interests. And ideally, the field of work I've been in is pretty cool because it has been about wanting to help people to have more satisfaction in what they do so they can be of more value. I personally haven't been into just the profit, but we have to measure things, and it's measured on some of those things. So it's been a fascinating field, and yet what I found, and even recently, is there's two major things that are making it very challenging for organizations, especially the large ones that I've been working in. The hierarchy of top down, which is an external telling a person, a soul, what to do, which then in turn disempowers us and makes us feel, fair, and sometimes feel like a victim and feel like I have to pay my bills, I have to put up with this. And so that's one thing. And then the other is that people have been really stuck in their head. And if you do get to sit with and in ancient cultures, you'll find that it's very heart-based, it's very feeling-based. It's ability to sense someone's energy and to be coming from an honorable energy to enter into space. So these are really good ingredients to be able to do things differently, yet I had found that it hasn't been very well received to go deep into that, because what it does is it means that people won't be following as much because they're using their own initiative, and if things don't change for them, maybe they might not stay. So there's just this fine line of being able to be in two worlds. One world, I call it the old world, is where people are following a model that is really crumbling because people are just becoming too empowered from more information and more choices and more ways of being, and not just following rigid rules of what someone's telling us to do on the outer. So I call it like an ancient codex awakening. So as I've just taken this path myself, obviously I've learned some good skills that have been useful, and yet in my dreams I've started to have awakenings, and I realized my great-grandmother is a tohunga, and tohu means sign and ngā means plural, and really a tohunga is like a shaman or a guru or a medicine person, or they might be a seer. So she was a seer. And I was starting to get these dreams and these insights and these really cool, journal it and go, that is the answer to what I've been looking for. And I would also start to get things drop in during the day. And I feel, and I know now, that the way that happens is by starting to really listen, because obviously I tried to be successful in the outer world, and so I was following, and I wasn't very good at following, but I was doing courses and doing my studies and doing specializations and things to be credible. And so I had to, it's like an onion, I had to start letting go of some of these things, and certain practices started to come into my life, which are yoga and now breath work and other things. And there really is quite a simple way that we can just put ourselves aside a little bit from old world, because if it's not catching up, it's going to affect you. But starting to have really powerful inner skills which will allow us to maneuver the calm in the storm. We can't change the storm, but we can be the calm. And we can also be patient, that often it shifts when our own way in which we are shifts. So this Codex Awakening is a term, but I call it the Ancient Codex, because there's something in you, in all of us, which is aligned to, especially in our ancient cultures, we do feel connection to our ancestors. Māori, we know our whakapapa, we call it. It's our genealogy. We know, 14 generations back, we can know exactly who and where we came from, right to the point of a canoe that came and what that canoe was called. So there are ways that we can start to tap into something that is ancient in us. And that's really the theme and the work that this is. So this isn't just science. This isn't just a spiritual approach. This is really looking at like the fundamentals of the ancient, which is very much about how can I care and connect again to nature, and how can I care and connect again to my community and to helping the world. So that would be the underlying theme that you'll experience if you want to do any of this work. And there is just so much wonderful stuff out there. And I have just grabbed what I feel is the simplest way of doing this. The name that has come to me, Ara Mu. Ara, we say, is the way. And Mu is, in the Buddhist term, is nothingness. So you may have heard of the idea that we need to return to stillness. We need to return to silence. We need to return to the 0 point, some people call it in quantum physics, the nothingness. And then when you go to that nothingness, everything unfolds. And I am also using the word Mu because I have had a huge awakening to an ancient Pacific continent that some say has sunk. Some say it's like Atlantis, and Atlantis was afterwards. It's a time where we were initially very, 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 very one with nature, with our powers of being a light, being a energy, being a frequency, a transmitter, a receiver in the whole scheme of the whole cosmos. So there is a snippet that will be offered in this foundation course and so much more in the longer one. But I just wanted to share some of these gems and just a few foundations that can help you gain a sense of simple ways to be able to, for example, use a sound with breath, and that to have such a profound effect on you that you think, yeah, this is nice and simple. And so I feel my calling, the reason why I'm here, and I know everyone's got an amazing reason why they're here, is to connect the most ancient of what we have been as humans, which is a lot of different things, like we're a mixture of different cultures and races, and some people say more, I won't go there, but from that pure essence, when we really felt one with nature, and how to tap into that to be able to bring it forth now. And I feel that this work is really important at this time too, because some who may have been following Atlantis, there is a little bit more focus on technology and embracing that. And I just know from experience and embodying this that our superpowers come from within. We can use an intermediary, and that's all wonderful too. So I am using my mobile phone, and I'm using my laptop and the screen, and I'm using all these external things, but they're not as powerful as the true essence of what we can tap into when we go to that core, the inner. So why coherence? The best way is really to do a coherence activation and then feel it, and then you'll know why. All I can say, if we were to summarize why, is that it really is the foundation for everything. And I know from experience, after years of working in the field of human potential, where we are actively needing to come up with better ways to support people to be in their highest potential so they can then perform. They make profits for organizations. And so by really, really looking at this, I knew that coherence for me is the keyhole into the world of all infinite possibilities, because it's the foundation and it's the essence. So we look at the different aspects of what we're about. We're coherent, we're frequency, we're a vibration, we are a signal, and then that allows that which is around us in the field to potentialize itself to the point that we start to see certain things as a response to our signal. And so we can get chaos, we can get conflict, or we can actually get some pretty cool things happening. And if there's something out in our signal, there'll be some sort of static. So it's not like there's anything wrong with us, but as we become really attuned to this, we can also use it as a tool to go, I never knew that's the thing that's holding me back. So let's get into what I call the 5D center point of human power. I'm so passionate about this. 9 has been a number that has come to me. So in the longer journey course, we go right into what that's about, the first to the 9 dimensions. And over the years, I've been fascinated, and I have noticed people have just got so many different, they've created their own ideas on what each is. And I feel like it's so important for us to maneuver in what these different dimensions are. People say, I'm living in the 3D, you've got to get out of the 3D. And, I've got to get to the 5D, thinking maybe it's somewhere. But ultimately, it's an inner journey where we can be all 9 dimensions. And as we become all 9, we become this very centered being. Our superpowers come from that. So where are we if we're not all 9 dimensions in balance? We're in the 4th dimension. We are hijacked, in fact, for centuries in the 4th dimension. People say that we're in the 3rd dimension and we need to quickly get to this 5th. And I'm like, why aren't people talking about the 4th dimension? What is it? It is the narrative, it is the story, it is the idea, the concept, it's the belief, it's the perception. It's those stories that we've been told. We love stories. From ancient times, we were told stories to help us find our place in the world. And yet the stories for the last few centuries have benefited a certain few who give us a perception, especially, think of the times of the peasants. You are poor, you have to give us, most of your produce and stay in your rank for years. Now that's been going on for a long time. So it's important to reclaim our sovereignty, our power, to be able to have clear perceptions of what it is that we want to create as creators in this life, here on this beautiful earth. So by becoming aware that there's potential that someone or something will want to give us a perception, and it's not even here in this physical moment, it's not part of my 5 senses, and am I here in this present moment? Most times we're not even fully in the 3rd dimension. We're somewhere else. We're in the future, we're in the past, and we're getting hijacked. So just becoming aware of this. There's so much more we cover in the full program. It's fascinating. It's fantastic. We are creators. We're meant to be creating. And as we learn all 9 dimensions, we can intentionally create. A lot of us might have seen The Secret and found that some aspects weren't working. It's because we're not as detailed in what is really going on. So when we learn all 9 dimensions, we tend to be able to consciously create at all of these different levels. So I'll go into the other dimensions briefly. The 1st and 2nd dimension are that connection to the core of the earth and all up to the surface of the earth. It's the building blocks of matter of the 3D. And even within our body is the 2nd dimension. It's all of those things like minerals and microbes and vitamins and all of those things that build our matter. So we tend to be told that this earth, or underneath the earth especially, is hell, and it is dangerous, and it's dirty, and dirt is dirty. So most people aren't that aware of what's going on with the earth. And so by knowing a lot more, there's so much more that's beautiful. There's energy, there's magnetism, there's so much that can be tapped into. Even the basic grounding is very powerful. So many people are starting to realize that. And then if we go up higher from the third, fourth, fifth dimension, we've got the sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, which is all within this galaxy. So we're not going out to different universes yet, but at a practical level we can tap into these. So the sixth dimension is all about symbolism. It's the morphogenic blueprint that creates physical reality when we really get into it. It's the symbol of the word, the letter, if we were to keep it really simple. And then the seventh dimension is sound. And so sound and symbol together create our alphabet. So we are using these things, but the more we become conscious of the sound and tone that we use, of the sounds and tones that we accept in our lives, of the symbolism that's being put towards us, and of consciously creating, we get more and more powerful with some of the intentions that we're setting. The eighth dimension is the light, and it is the divine mind. Some people call it the Akashic record. That is wise. It's not hijacking us like the fourth dimension of perceptions. It's got this all-knowing, yes, I feel that. And as we become coherent, we tap into that and we use that to start to make bigger decisions that have a bigger impact in a positive way on everything, not just on ourselves. And the ninth dimension is just honoring this galaxy and the patterns. So ancient cultures, and many people who have got interests in nature, like I live on an island a lot, and I have to go along a beach, and I need to know when the tides are right. And the tides tend to be very different on a full moon versus other times. So there is definitely impact of this beautiful galaxy that we're in, and the impact that it has on us at different times. So that's an introduction to it. It's pretty powerful to start to tap into all of this. So just being aware of the fifth dimension, not being hijacked by the fourth, being here in our body, we're able to do so much, even if we haven't really explored all of the other dimensions. We're in that center of power, uncapped, infinite possibilities, beautiful coherence. And if we want to, we can start from there, a very solid place. We don't get hijacked even from the stories and narratives, and we're able to claim our abilities as we start to explore all the dimensions that are our potential. It's amazing.